Hey there, everyone, and welcome back again. It is I, Angie, and I am here with some more positive messages for you. Last week, if you were a part of my last week's journey, it has been a rough road the last few weeks for me. And for those of you that are animal lovers, you can understand. We had to say goodbye to our 13-year-old pup, and it has put me into a different location in my life right now. It just never seems to get easy, right? When we lose something that we love, and, it just takes a toll, especially people like for me, who I'm home with my dogs all the time, never outside of the house working. They are the people I talk to. It's not uncommon for me to walk around the house talking to my dogs. That's who I have during the day while the kids are at school and my husband's at work. So if you tuned in last week, it was pretty raw. And dealing with grief and how I explained that my phantom pains had been through the roof last week, just because I think I was dealing with so much stress. And so I kind of touched on how stress does play, as much as I can tell you, I talk about it all the time, but stress plays a role in how we heal and how we deal with our injuries. And for those of you that are amputees, it does play a role, I truly believe, in how your nerve pains react to what you're going through. So this week, we're on a little bit of a different path. And, I was going to go in one direction, but I think that the talk that we need to have today, this goes out to both people that are dealing with issues and looking for help, and those people out there that feel like they must help others. And I just had a very nice long talk with one of my friends who has been going through her amputee journey. And you know what? She's on my mind. And I always try to tell you that what makes my podcast is real life situations, my personal experience, and what's fresh and raw in my life right now. And I have to tell you that I struggled with this because I try very hard to use my own personal journey to help others get through what they're going through. But I am also trying to be very careful in saying that this works or this person is a good doctor or whatever, because to each person, our journeys are very different, even though they look similar. You cannot say, well, you're an above knee amputee and my friend's an above knee amputee. You're like going through the same things. Not at all. Like, I, knock on wood, have not dealt with infections, but there are many people that are amputees because they had infections that took over their body, a virus that was flesh eating that took away their legs or their fingers. You don't know the journey that someone's on. And so there is not one thing that dictates the outcome for one person to the next person to the next person. So if you are an amputee or to become an amputee and you reach out to people and ask for their advice or their opinion, please remember it's just that. It's an opinion. And you may not have the exact same result that they had. And I'm speaking from experience on this, because the experience that I had with one of my doctors, and I had a great experience, was not the same for my friend. And it breaks my heart because I very rarely toot the horn of other people and tell people you should try this person. And I did. And the outcome wasn't what we wanted. And so I really feel like this is an important topic, because there are a lot of people out there that have, oh, I've been through that. Yeah, this is the way you need to do this. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. Sorry for you cat lovers out there. But you cannot rely on somebody else's experience, because we are all unique individuals. with unique personalities. And when I say personalities, it's not just the medical aspect, whether you are diabetic, had cancer, had an accident, had a virus infection, whatever, and whatever took your leg or your limb, but you also have a personality. And the way I interact with my surgeon, my prosthetist, my doctors is going to be different than the way you interact with them. And the way I fight for my rights and my health are going to be different than the way you fight for your rights and your health. And we need to remember that, people. We cannot just go out blindly saying, this is the only brace to use. This is the only type of prosthetic you should use. This is the only device that works. How could you use that? That is wrong. You can't do that. And it scares me because I'm on plenty of Facebook groups where I just stalk the answers when someone cries out, hey, I'm struggling. I can't believe this journey. This is the hardest thing I've ever been through. What are you guys doing? And you see some people 100% say, this is the only way to go, or this is the only person to use, or this is the only prosthetic you should ever think about getting. If you can't get it, fight for it. That is not the case. And we have got to stop pretending that we know everything. Just because someone says, I'm experiencing really bad phantom pains, doesn't mean you understand it because you've experienced phantom pains. My phantom pains last week were bad. They were not horrible. They were not my worst by any means. But I can tell you that my stress level last week was through the roof with losing my dog and watching her the week before going through all that. That I know that is a stress I don't normally have. If I were to go onto a Facebook group and say, hey, I'm dealing with such extreme phantom pains, nothing's helping, people are going to rattle off using gummies and this medication and that medication and everything. And what I needed a dose of happiness in my life. And I was struggling, but I didn't put that in my comment. No one knows my life or the journey I've been on. They don't know how many years I've been an amputee. They don't know how easy the amputation went or how badly it went. They don't know that I'm in a prosthetic. They don't know that I've been skiing and surfing. They don't know anything about me, just that I'm experiencing phantom pains. And so that doesn't give a full picture of the entire person. So when you give advice to someone going through something you've been through, quote unquote, what you went through and what they're going through is two very different things. No matter what, phantom pain is not just one size fits all. It is not one cause fits all. Mine last week was stress. The pains that I've had in the past that have been so excruciating that I couldn't sleep, couldn't sit, couldn't stand, couldn't lay down without pain, couldn't find any way to be comfortable, dealt with a pinched sciatic nerve. But I didn't know that the first 2 times I went through that. Then I started putting all the pieces together. But sometimes something like that, medication's not going to help, or going for a walk may not help. So I try not to give advice. I like to look and see what people are saying. That gives me some great stuff for my podcast to talk about, because there are people that think they know everything about everybody's ailment. And, you've seen it a million times before. The problem is when someone's in dire need for advice, they will accept any advice because they just want to not feel what they're feeling. But I will tell you, the best way to get through it is to make your own observations about what's going on in your life right now, who the people are around you, what's different, what's changed, why this could have happened, and make notes on how long it's lasting, because that is the only way I figured out that I was getting a pinched nerve in my back. And that was the cause the first time, the second time. By the third time, I finally figured it out and put all the pieces together. And then when it happened a fourth time, I knew what was going on. I knew what I needed to do. I still dealt with it for a few days, but I knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel, that it wasn't the end of my world, and that my life wasn't spiraling out of control. And it gave me a little peace of mind, and it gave me time to just calm down and just get through it without panicking and stressing, because that stress adds to the phantom pain. Now, if you are someone looking for advice, be very careful, because you are unique. What you're going through is unique. You cannot go on an amputee site, say, this is what I'm going through. I'm going through phantom pains that are just excruciating. No one warned me about this, yada, 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 and expect any really good, solid advice. People will tell you what worked for them, and that is great because it gives you an idea of what you could try. But be very cautious about people that say, the only way to get through this is this. When you look for always, nevers, and things like that that are extremes, be very cautious. Those are red flags. In my mind, no one should ever tell you always or never when it comes to giving you advice on something in your life. So please be careful with that. I mean, it breaks my heart that what I experienced with a certain doctor is not what my friend experienced. And shame on me. And you know, she did say she did her due diligence and interviewed him and talked to them, you know what I mean? But it still doesn't make me feel good, like thinking about that. And I want the best for her. She is a friend, and I want her to soar. And that's what it should all be about. We should be there to take care of each other, to help each other accomplish the things in life that we all want, right? This isn't a competition amongst each other. It is a journey that we should be obligated to assist others on. And when we don't have an answer, it's okay not to pretend we know everything, and just be there to console, to support, to make laugh, and bring joy to someone's life in the heat of a struggle. And so, you know, this podcast, like I said, you know, I went from last week, just, man, there was raw emotion. I was so heart-stricken, and I still am, but you know the routine, that day by day things get a little bit easier. I'm not so consumed by sorrow. I have my other Chihuahua here that's sitting next to me, that she has helped me heal by making me get out and walking her, and that fresh air and exercise has been exactly what I've needed. So I'm getting into a better place. And quite frankly, I had another, next week I'm going to challenge you. Next week there's going to be a big challenge, and I want you to make sure you listen all the way to the end, because the challenge is for you to join me in a challenge. And I want to see if I can't get a team. And so my goal is, let's get ourselves healthy. The holidays are coming. I don't know about you, but I'm already decorating for Christmas. It's almost all done. My hat that I'm wearing today is actually a Christmas hat. And I've got the Christmas movies going, and I've already done some baking just to start getting myself acclimated to that. I'm spending time at home, decorating the house, and I'm like, you know what? I know it's coming, and it's like, you know, oh, a little bit more wine, a little bit more cheese and crackers, a little bit more candy or cookies. And that'll wreak havoc on how I feel about myself and my fit for my prosthetics. So be looking next week. I'm going to challenge you to something to join me, and I'm hoping you will take me on that challenge. But until then, this week, I want you to be cautious. The name of the game this week is going to be using your best judgment. And, you know, the one thing I always stress to people is advocating for yourself. And when you advocate for yourself, that also means being smart enough to know good advice from bad advice, understanding that what works for somebody doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you, but that's not the end of the world. You just have to figure out what does work for you. And it also means when you have to get a medical professional's opinion, that you listen to your gut. You know you. You know you better than anybody else. even a doctor that's got a nice, expensive degree doesn't know everything about you, how you heal, how you wound, how you take care of yourself, what your activity level is, what you want to do, what your dreams are, what you used to do. Only you know all that about you. And when you go into an office, from the moment you are greeted by a receptionist to the MA or the PA or the nurse practitioner and the surgeon, the doctor, your gut is reading into how you're treated, how you feel, and you deserve the best. And if you don't feel like they have the time of day for you, it's okay to give them a second chance, because maybe it's an off day. Remember that, we all have them. Nobody is guarded from having a bad day. But if you go back in another time and you feel the same exact way, like you're discarded, you're not being heard, they're not listening to your concerns, your worries, your fears, if they are not there for you prior to doing any kind of work on you, then be very careful, because they may not be there after you have work done and are needed. Because a lot of times a surgeon will do their job and then that's when they're done. Like, they don't do anything but surgery. And so be careful, please be careful. Know that you know better. And I say that, like I said, because even if a friend of yours had a good experience with that person, if you go in and have a different experience, a different feel, your personality and that person's personality are different. The way you handle things and what you are looking for in a doctor is different than what they may have been looking for in a doctor. Some of my friends don't care a lick about bedside manners as long as the surgeon is immaculate and does the best job on them. In my opinion, they better have bedside manners and be amazing at what they do. I want both. I think that a surgeon can have both really amazing personalities and personable and be excellent at their job. And that also means post-surgery be excellent at their job, which is that personal care, that attention to the details after they're done, to hear that and not be too proud of their work to be blinded by ego, not to be able to see when something isn't right. So please advocate for yourself. Be strong. And if you can't be, do not go into an appointment without your spouse or a significant other, somebody that can advocate for you. Ask the right questions when you are stunned or stupid by something that's been said. The first time I went into one of my last surgeon's offices, he brought up the A word, amputation, and it struck me so frighteningly. I don't know, is that a word, frighteningly? It created such anxiety that I had to laugh it off and look at my husband in a very uncomfortable laugh. And at that point in time, I think my brain just completely shut down. And I'm glad he was there to hear everything else he said after that, because I had to ask him to reiterate, because all I kept thinking about is, what does that mean for me? What does that look like? And then you're visualizing yourself as an amputee. And when you're not expecting that word to come out of someone's mouth about your life, it really can be a gut punch. You catch your breath and you're stunned. Make sure you don't go in alone to any appointment, a second opinion, a third opinion, any opinions, any appointments, post or pre-surgery, it doesn't matter. You should always have someone there with you that can take mental notes, ask the right questions, and be there to support you, to give you the strength. Because I remember my first couple, I was afraid to question the doctors. Well, they're the professional, right? You go in there because you need them to answer what's going on, and you don't know. What have you seen before? You expect them to know it all. And then I found out, you know what? They're just human beings and they can't know everything, and they don't know me. So then I started learning to stand up for myself and not being afraid to ask questions, and realizing that I'm in charge in that meeting. That is my meeting. He works for me and I need the answers. And if he can't answer them, then I got to go someplace else. So that is my thing. That is all I want to talk about today because it really is near and dear to me right now with a couple of my friends. I would never want to steer anyone wrong. And please know, if you've ever taken any of my advice, I hope that you understand that you have the last say. Anything I ever say, I'm telling you because it worked on my journey and it worked for me. And you are not me. You are unique and special and wonderful in your own way. Make sure you are partnered up and do the right thing for your situation, your circumstance, and your life. Right? We should never mirror ourselves off of somebody else's journey. It is never the same. It is never the same. So, call to action this week. Be an advocate for yourself. Get out there when you need the help. You ask for the help. You make sure you take someone with you to your appointments that can be trusted to make the notes and take the time to ask the questions that you are afraid to ask or forget to ask. I mean, there were times I forgot to ask questions because I was stunned by some of the answers. And just make sure that when you do decide that you're gonna throw something out there to thousands of strangers in Facebook world and social media, that you take every answer with a grain of salt, because what worked for whoever just told you the only way to go. And I have seen those. I have seen the people that think they know everything because they've been through amputation. And they say, this is the only way to go, and this is the only company, or this company never go to. That company is horrible. Don't ever go to them. That is their opinion about what happened in their life, in their circumstance. Don't just go with that. Make your own assessment based on what you're going through. So that is the call to action. Be there for yourself. Know that you are strong enough and you are amazing enough that you deserve the best, that you don't take second best on anything, because you will get out there and you will conquer the world. You are a warrior. You need to just stand up and be strong. And when you cannot be strong, please, please bring someone that can make you strong, someone that you trust, someone that's always got your back, whether it's a good friend, a spouse, a significant other, a sibling. Please have someone with you that can fight for you when you are at your weakest. It's not uncommon to go in and be completely dumbfounded and lose all your train of thought. And you know, one of the other things I used to always do is, after I learned the first couple surgeries, is start making notes, and I put questions in my notes section of my phone so that when I went in, I wouldn't forget what I really wanted to ask, because inevitably they'll throw something in your direction and you'll all of a sudden lose your train of thought, and it'll go a different direction and you'll have forgotten everything you wanted to ask. So advocate for yourself. You are worth it. You need to be able to be strong enough for yourself. You know you best. Don't ever forget that. A doctor gets a PhD in general practices with the average person, but you're not average. So make sure you are doing what you need to do for yourself, because you need to take care of number one. As always, I hope you have a great week. I hope that this struck a chord in you, that it makes you just a little bit more knowledgeable when you get out there in the world and are dealing with your situation. And as always, from my heart to yours, be healthy, be happy, be you.